Is this the end of the petrodollar? The United States enforces its foreign policy with the help of petrodollars. Many countries, on the other hand, don't fight back. They're concerned that it will result in the petrodollar system collapsing. However, these days, we tend to see possibilities that this might happen in the coming days, just as when the United States has lost ground to China and the European Union. As a result, the petrodollar's status as the world's dominating currency is challenged. What would the world be like if there was an open, neutral, predictable base currency rather than one controlled and managed by a single government representing only a few of the world's population? Watch this video and have an in-depth look over whether this will lead to the end of the petrodollar. Welcome back to Crypto World. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. The petrodollar's history. The history of the gold standard is connected with the petrodollar system. Following World War II, the United States possessed the majority of the world's gold supply. If other countries linked their currencies to the dollar, it pledged to redeem any U.S. currency for its gold. At the 1944 Bretton Woods Conference, other countries agreed to this agreement. It made the United States dollar the world's reserve currency. President Franklin D. Roosevelt began the partnership with Saudi Arabia on February 14, 1945, when he met with the Saudi king Abdul al-Aziz. In exchange for military and business training, the U.S. built an airstrip in Dhahran. This partnership was so important that it withstood years of disagreements over the Arab-Israeli conflict. Struggling with rising inflation, debt from the Vietnam War, wasteful domestic spending, and a continuous balance of payments deficit, the Nixon administration abruptly and surprisingly ended the convertibility of U.S. dollars into gold in August 1971. Following the Nixon shock, the globe witnessed the end of the gold era and the free decline of the U.S. dollar against a backdrop of surging inflation. As a result, the dollar's value plunged. As a result, the U.S. economy benefited from lower export values, making it more competitive. Because contracts were valued in U.S. dollars, a declining currency affected oil-producing countries. Their oil earnings fell in lockstep with the dollar, but the cost of imports in other currencies rose. Nixon requested military assistance for Israel in the Yom Kippur War in 1973, and the newly established Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries blocked oil deliveries to the U.S. and other Israeli allies. Oil prices quadrupled in 6 months as a result of the OPEC oil embargo. Even when the embargo expired, prices remained high. Recycling of petrodollars. The U.S.-Saudi Arabian Joint Commission on Economic Cooperation was established in 1979 after the U.S. and Saudi Arabia agreed to utilize U.S. money for oil contracts. Contracts with American industries would recycle the funds back to the United States. Through technological transfer, these companies help to strengthen Saudi infrastructure. This stimulates the local economy by increasing imports and providing better compensation for government employees. The others are used to help countries improve their finances. Their petrodollars are recycled through sovereign wealth funds. They invest these funds in non-oil related ventures. The enterprises' profitability allow them to be less reliant on oil prices. David Graeber, an anthropologist who wrote the intriguing book Debt, The First 5,000 Years, commented that the petrodollar recycling is an example of how U.S. Treasury bonds superseded gold as the world's reserve currency and ultimate store of value. The catch, he says, that over time, the combined effect of how low interest payments and inflation causes these bonds to deteriorate in value, and economists prefer to call it seigniorage. However, modern monetary theorists such as Warren Mosler and Stephanie Kelton dismiss the importance of the petrodollar, claiming that it doesn't matter or it's irrelevant because it doesn't limit what the United States can do domestically, and that, internationally, it doesn't matter what oil is priced in because countries can simply swap currencies before purchasing. Critics point out that the dollar was already the world reserve currency prior to 1973, that commodity pricing in dollars is simply a convention, and that there would be no meaningful difference if the euro, yen, or even bushels of wheat were chosen as the unit of account for the oil market. Saudi Arabia sells oil in Chinese yuan instead of US dollars. A worldwide financial system built on the petrodollar has been one of the mainstays of the past 40 years, serving as an anchor for the dollar's reserve position. The talks with China over yuan-priced oil contracts have been on and off for years, according to a report of the Wall Street Journal, but have picked up as the Saudis have grown increasingly dissatisfied with decades-old U.S. security obligations to defend the country. The Saudis are enraged by the U.S.'s lack of cooperation for their involvement in Yemen's civil war, as well as the Biden administration's attempt to reach a nuclear deal with Iran. Saudi authorities have expressed surprise at the United States' abrupt exit from Afghanistan in 2021. More than 25% of Saudi Arabia's oil exports are bought by China, and if priced in yuan, those purchases would strengthen China's currency's position and set the Chinese currency on a path to becoming a worldwide petro-yuan reserve currency. Even the Wall Street Journal admits that switching to a petro-yuan system would be a profound shift for Saudi Arabia to price even some of its roughly 6.2 million barrels of crude a day exports in anything other than dollars. Because the vast majority of global oil sales, around 80%, are all done in dollars, and the Saudis have traded oil exclusively in dollars since 1974, in a deal with the Nixon administration that included security guarantees for the kingdom. The Saudis appear to be abandoning U.S. security guarantees in favor of a closer relationship with China. Saudi Arabia's switch to yuan seen as symbolic, not a real threat to the dollar. According to currency experts, Saudi Arabia seems to be sending a political message to the United States by reportedly considering accepting yuan payments for oil sold to China. "I'm not sure if it's true," said Guillaume Tresca, a senior emerging market strategist at Generali in Paris. "It occurs at a time when the geopolitical order is shifting. The Saudis are doing their best to make do with what they have. It's merely a statement to the United States that they want more consideration." Saudi Arabia's relations with the United States have been tensed when Joe Biden was elected president, with a commitment to make the country a pariah in the aftermath of the 2018 murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist who was critical of the regime. However, there's another reason to believe the Saudis are playing for time. The rial is tied to the dollar, so any fall in the U.S. currency would reverberate back to the kingdom. The currency has protected the country from price instability and allowed the central bank to build reserves. Some investors are doubtful that the country will abandon that tool as a result. Nonetheless, China has prioritized the globalization of the yuan. In addition, countries such as Russia, India, and Saudi Arabia have pushed to incorporate non-dollar payments in their financial systems in order to minimize their reliance on the United States. According to some analysts, this year's sanctions on Russia, as well as the possible economic devastation resulting from its isolation, have created a new feeling of urgency among those countries. Most investors believe that any attempts to dump the dollar will be insignificant. However, over time, they may lead to an alternative financial system that obtains a little market share while maintaining the dollar as the world's primary currency. Any disruption to the system will have huge consequences, not only in terms of costs, but also in terms of geopolitics and economics. Nonetheless, some dismiss these consequences as little blips on the radar, while others think they are catastrophic. The truth is most likely somewhere in the middle. What are the conditions of the petrodollar are you mostly focused on or worried about? Your voice is truly valued, so be sure to let your thoughts solidify in the comments section. For more impactful news, hit that like button, subscribe to Crypto World, ring the notification bell, and share this video.